But yeah, getting onto people poo-pooing. Yeah, a lot of people came after you after our last show. The whole, because we talked about the supremacy in Canada, which I think is just kind of a faux thing, not really a realistic thing in my opinion. I think it serves its purpose, and the purpose is really actually helping the Liberals at the moment.
You want to talk about that?
Oh no, I was okay. I was laughing. So one thing that came up before we went was the fact that immigration is actually coming down in
Yes.
Canada, and this is something that I wasn't expecting because of how things were going. Right, the ways things were going were, just keep the scam going. Mask it, hide it, pretend it's not happening anymore, but then just keep it rolling in because money's being made and that kind of stuff. It turns out, and I spoke to Darshan Maharaja on the telephone today, and he told me, no, like it's come down a tremendous amount.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is a fraction of what it was. And in fact, a lot of people are even self-deporting because it's just not working out for them.
Actually, I got a couple of things to say about that, but yeah, it's one of those things. I talked about this with you, I think, a couple of weeks ago. It takes time to start seeing it on the trends and on the Government of Canada portal. But yes, the population now is flat, so flat and almost coming down. So yeah, people are leaving. They're not coming in, and they're leaving, which is interesting. Like we hear stories like this all the time now. People who came here from places like India and whatever, Ukraine. We've even talked about Ukraine, Syria. Actually, Syria. Canada declassified Syria this week as a hostile government, right? So now a bunch of Syrians are finally going back home and whatnot. But it's funny to hear people who come from what I would call second world, maybe even third world countries. They come here to Canada and now they want to go back to second world and third world countries because the cost of living is expensive here, and we are rolling back on some of the free stuff. So when they run out of free stuff and then they can't land a job, they'll go back. Let me tell you one quick thing though that's real. At the AGM, the United Conservative Party AGM, just before you left there, we passed policies. The membership passes policies that go to the government. 5 policies had to do with immigration. So the general membership passed a policy. We passed a policy in Alberta saying, we're asking the government, if you're not a proper immigrant here or a landed immigrant or something like that, no services. We're actually asking our government, like the whole membership said, like, why are we doing this? Why are we giving services to people who don't deserve them? So we passed that one. We passed a law. I didn't even know this was happening, but I won't get into the detail, but we passed 5 policies that we're generally asking Danielle Smith to make it unattractive for unskilled immigrants to come here. If you're unskilled, you don't speak English, and you come here, you're going to have a hard time getting your driver's license and a job. That's it. And those policies passed overwhelmingly across the board. I talked to people that are.
Well, they passed at the AGM, but are they going to pass in the legislatures?
They will because coincidentally Danielle is making a bill coming up right away. That's one of the things that she's doing. So it's never a coincidence. I mean, whatever we pass at the AGM gets leaked out and vice versa. So, there's things. Alberta, Danielle is making steps to be more like Quebec. I mean, Quebec has control of its own immigration, and Alberta wants control of its own immigration, and I think other provinces will want that as well.
Yeah, well, that would be smart.
Well, it's a pattern. It's a pattern. People are tired of this. People are people are tired of this.
Yes. Yes.
Now, the more that I talk about it, I'm thinking we're going to end up talking about those guys from last week. Well, they think they got. All right, I'll be blunt because they're listening, right? So we'll talk about like last week when we talked about the second sons or second boys or
two weeks ago now. Yeah,
2 weeks ago, right? Like they think that they're the ones who are affecting the change in the language in the country. No, they're a group of radicals. I still think they're more likely than not a federal psyop organization. But let's say they're not. Maybe they're a group of radicals. I don't give a shit. they are not the ones that are influencing the language and the discussion in this country. People got fed up by out of control immigration a long, long time ago. You and I have been talking about out of control immigration for 2 years now. So
Yep.
with Darshan and with the schools and the what did they call them? What did Darshan call the schools in BC? The strip mall colleges and whatnot. Like it's that came out this week too. That was a report that came out by Stats Canada this week. There's 100,000 less foreign students in Canada this year, and the schools, the universities are whining about it because they took in something like $18 billion on these foreign students, and they spent 19 billion. So this whole argument that they were getting students and it was helping to pay, they wasted the money. Like, so
Yeah.
now it's like you're gonna have to do the right thing, which is
Well,
I'm
Darshan
rambling.
was telling me a shocking number.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
I don't remember the exact numbers, but their allotment is like 600,000 people, and it's something like 125,000 came. So
Right.
like in a year, when they used to fill those up and they used to like lobby for more, like increasing the numbers, there's less people coming by a shocking margin than are even allowed. So the scam's over. People in these places that are being scammed to come to Canada, they're not falling for it anymore. So they're only cases where it's actual legitimate students going to legitimate colleges, legitimate schools for legitimate reasons.
And I'm glad we talked about this. Now it's coming full circle. When I said last week we passed resolutions making it tough for immigrants to come here, one resolution that we passed as a leadership, and we asked Danielle, we had a long debate on the floor about foreign students in our schools, and that was a resolution that the membership said, like, there's too many foreign students in our universities and our post-secondary institutions, and it ties to what you just said about people, like, we don't have enough mechanics, we don't have enough engineers, we don't have enough electricians, scaffolders, whatever. And so we passed a resolution saying no more, like, Canadian universities, well, Alberta universities are for our kids, or for Alberta kids. And somebody said that, like, yeah, but we make money from the foreign students. I don't give a shit if we make money from foreign students. If my kids can't go there, that's no good. And schools are not a profit center in of themselves. They are an investment in our future, and that's our kids, not their kids who go back to India or wherever. So,
well, schools have always been philanthropic, right? That used to be the whole idea. Like churches and organizations were the founding people of a lot of the most lucrative schools in history, right? So like that's where a lot of that came from. And then at one point they found a business model for it.
right.
And what happens when they found the business model? Well, a lot of Canadian American colleges and institutions are full of bloat. Like you want to get a degree in this, and they force you to take all these other courses that are non-elective. They're part of the tuition, and it's just garbage. We need to gut that. We absolutely need to gut that. And there are a lot of advocacy groups working on that at the current time. Because, like, you know what? I went to BCIT and my tuition included a gym and like a swimming pool and all those facilities. I didn't need it. I didn't use it once. And whatever. I mean, my tuition wasn't crazy, but I can understand for the people who are in like robotics or whatever, they're paying for that too. And they're paying for it out the wazoo. And they end up with a whole bunch of debt because of it.
It was a big deal here during COVID. My sons all were sort of in the in university during COVID, and they were going by correspondence, right? So they're all taking remote classes, but then they would get their tuition fees. What you described, they're non-scholastic fees. Like, yes, they the gym, the school counselors, the library, whatever. And I, as a parent, wrote a letter. I'm like, why are they paying for this during COVID? Oh, well, we got to maintain it. We got to do this. I'm like, oh my God. Like, yeah. So anyways, what else did Darshan have to say? I mean, I'm trying to pull my hair here. Not pull my hair, but he had something positive to say about one of my tweets too. I said something, yeah, anyways, we're all on the same page. I mean, there is the tide is turning. There's a good tide that's turning. Hopefully fast enough that it won't that some of the damage isn't too late.
So what happened was Darshan, he wrote an excellent article, and I'll pop this up on the screen so people can see this. If you just bear with me for 1 second, because I haven't shared anything. So yeah, Darshan had written this article, and I said, yeah, this is great, but there's one other aspect to this, right? So there's an article on the powerful interest groups that are committed to ensuring that the status quo ante on mass immigration gets restored, because it's diminishing, like as we just discussed about. Many thanks to these people for helping them with this opportunity. But this article was great, and he really focused on a lot of these pressure groups that are doing this. And I said to him, I said, there's one group that you forgot to mention, and that's these like radical groups. Because, and he was like, oh, you'll have to explain. And I said, it's because they want to make the conversation taboo again. Like this, the idea is like, if you make it extreme and you start using extreme rhetoric again, then the media can come in and they can say like, oh, what are you? Oh, you're one of the racists, like these guys, you know, when you bring up mass immigration. They're hoping for that. And Darshan was pointing out, like, a lot of these groups are hoping for that too. Put it back in the taboo. If mass immigration is in the taboo, then they can just run it in this way. Darshan actually brought up an interesting point, was that they're the liberals are sweeping this under the rug. They're getting rid of the mistake that they've made. They just don't want to own it.
Right.
So if they can get everybody to not talk about it while they kind of sweep it away, then eventually it's not even a story. And then they never have to say that it was a problem at all.
Clyde, they're trying to, I mean, exactly along those lines, the liberals are trying to sweep away 10 years of mistakes, right? I mean, immigration, out of control immigration, bad fiscal policy, too much debt, too much, not enough spending on the correct infrastructure, too much DEI, too much green, like you name it. They're brushing them all under the carpet right now.
Thanks for watching. If you want to see more clips like that, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. The link is right here. If you want to see it live as it happens, make sure you subscribe to the Clyde Do Something YouTube channel. The link is right there. We'll see you in the next one.